Hello students, myself Preeti Gajjar from VPMP Polytechnic. The subject is computer programming and the unit is second unit of constant variable and data types. Today the topic name is data types and storage classes. Objectives are data types, user defined data types and storage classes. We will learn user-defined data types and primary data types in this section, and the derived data type will be in some next videos, as it is a part of your advanced computer programming subject. First is the data types in C. First of all, what is data type? So data type is used to specify which type of value or data to be stored in a variable. The type of variable is chosen based on the type of information to be stored. So during the programs, you need to store some values, you need to store some data. So at where you are storing is known as a variable, and when you are going to store in a variable, before variable namings, you have to decide what is the or what kind of data you want to store. So it is known as a data type of the data. So it may be either numbers or it may be either alphabets. So which kind of data you want to store, it depends on that. Different data types are available in programming in C. So we can classify, or we can divide it in different three sections, and first is a primitive data type, or you can either say primary data type, then derived data type, and the third one is user defined data type. In primitive data type, there are basic four data types: character data type, which stores the alphabets; integer data type, which stores the numeric value, or you can say either positive value; floating point data types, which stores the value which has point values; and the fourth one is void data type. It is a special data types from these three. Now in derived data type, there are three types: array, string and pointer, and these three data types are having three different chapters in your advanced computer programming subject. So right now we are not discussing much about that, and move forward to user defined data types. In that there are four data types: structured, union, Typedef and enum. So in this computer programming in C subject, you have a Typedef and enum is in this section, and the structure and union you will be learn later in your next semester subject. Primary, or you can say basic data types, are character, float, integer and double. And so for that in detail we can see the different size in bits and bytes, and the range, and also the control string to access those variables value. So the first data type is character, and we are using the keyword char, or the spelling is char, char. The size in bytes is 1 and the size in bits is obviously 8. In range it is -128 to +127, and the control string is %C. Next is the integer, which stores the numeric values. So the spelling of data type is int. Size in bytes is 2, so which is double from the character, so it also the doubles in bits also, so it is A16. The range is -32768 to +32767, and the control string is %D. Next is a float data type, which stores the point values, and its size in bytes is 4 and in size in bits is 32. Range is 3.4 e raised to -38 to 3.4 e raised to plus 38, and the control string is %f, and the last one is a double. So the spelling of this data type is double, double, and the size in bytes is 8 and the size in bits is 64. The range is 1.7 e raised to minus 308 to 1.7 e raised to 308, and the control string is %LD. So these are the basic, or we can say primary data type with that range, control string, and different size in bits and bytes. Let's see some examples how to write these data types. So in integer data type, int is used to define integer numbers. In the main function, within the curly brackets, you have to write like int, and suppose the variable name is count, so we can write it as int count and semicolon, and we can initialize the value of count as count equals to 5 semicolon. And in float data type, float is used to define floating point numbers. For data type statement, you have to use the keyword float and then the variable name. For example, it is here miles, so float miles, and miles is equal to 5.6, as float stores the point numbers. Next is a double data type. Double is used to define big floating point numbers. It reserves twice the storage for the number. On PCs, this is likely to be 8 bytes. So to define the double data type, we have to use the keyword double and any variable name. For example, here it is atoms. Then atoms is equal to 25 lakhs. Next data type is character data type. Character defines the characters. So char is defined the characters. We are using the keyword for the character data type is char, and then the variable name, which is here letter. So char and then letter semicolon. We can define any alphabets or any character in that variable letter. So letter is equal to, in single quotation, X. We have to remember that in character data type, whatever we assign to that character data type variable, that message or that string will be in a single quote. Now this is the modifier, or you can say qualifier of the data type. There are different modifiers and qualifiers available for primary data types, and these basic 4 modifiers are short, long, signed, and unsigned. All data types are signed by default. By default means whenever if you don't specify the word unsigned, then system basically consider it as a signed. The structure given of a basic data type of primary data types, here it is integer, floating point, and character. In integer, there are signed and unsigned integer, and signed integer having an integer, short integer, and long integer data types. In unsigned, it is also same as integer, short integer, and long integer. In floating point, float, double, and long double. In character, it is character, signed character, and unsigned character. So in detail, you can see the data types with modifier and its size and its range and format strings. As we discussed in the primary data types, these are the with example of we can say modifiers. So character having a 1 byte in size, and you can see the range is -128 to 127, and format string is %C. But if it is an unsigned character data type, then size is 1 but the range is different. You can see the very much difference in the range, and it is a 0 to 255. The format string is same. In short and unsigned short, you can see the change in range. Similarly, in int and unsigned int, you can see the change in range, and long and long double having a different range again. And if the data type is float double and long double, then the range is going to double from the float to double, it becomes double, and from the double to long double, it becomes again the double in a range. And you can see the different format string according to that. And whenever the unsigned unsigned format specifier is used as a percentage u with the basic format string, like you can say in long we are using percentage ld, but if it is unsigned long, then we are using percentage lu. User defined data types are, as I said earlier, that we cover the Typedef and enum in this chapter. So here we are going to learn what is user defined data type, and in that what is Typedef and what is enum. So C provides the facility of defining user defined data type identifier. This can be done with the help of type definition. The full form of Typedef is a type definition, and the user defined data type means the data type which is defined by the user. So it is known as a user defined data type, and this allows the user to define an identifier that would represent an existing data type. We can use this identifier to declare the variables. So when we define the basic primary data type like int, character, float and double, we can give the different name to that primary data type using Typedef. So the syntax is Typedef, then write type, that means the data type, and then the name of the identifier and semicolon. So the example is Typedef. It is a keyword, we have to write a Typedef. Then next is a data type. So instead of data type, we can write int, char, float or double. So we are using here int, and the name of the identifier is either units. So Typedef, int and units. Now our word units is become our data types. So we can define a units type of variable in our program, like units u1, u2, this kind of variables we can generate. So basically the data type of u1 and u2 will be the data type of integer, as we define the Typedef int units. So units is our basically integer data types, and whenever we are going to use units with a variable name, the data type of those variable names will become the integer. Second is the enumerated data types. It is very interesting data type. Enumerated data type is user defined data type. Using enumerated data type, we can create more than one symbolic constant at a time. Syntax is symbolic constant at a time. That means when we are applying the values, we can give some constant numbers to that particular values. So syntax of enumerated data type is enum and then identifier, and in the curly brackets we can specify more than one values in that. So for example, if you define enum and the identifier name is week underscore day, you can define different day values in this curly bracket. So the specific symbolic constant applied at a Monday is 0, and then Tuesday will be the 1, and the Wednesday will be the 2. So you can define a specific integer value with this particular weekdays. If you want to define Monday the value 5, then you can write like Monday equals to 5. So Tuesday will be 6, and then Wednesday will be 7. So according to that, we can define different symbolic constant to our variable values. So this is the basic concept of enumerated data types. However, if we want to change this default value, we can change it by explicitly assigning the values to the constant. As I said, the example is given over here. Enum weekday, then if we define Monday is equal to 3 and then Tuesday and Wednesday, so using this data type we can declare another variable of this data type. For example, enum weekday start comma end. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday start and end, all these are the values of weekday identifier, and which is a kind of enum data type. Now the different topic after the data type is the storage class, and we have a different 4 storage class in the programming in C. So the variable can have data type as well as the storage class. When we are going to store some values in a variable, we have to define the data type as we discussed earlier, and also we have to define the storage class, or you can say the memory location where the values are going to be stored. So the storage class of the variable provides information about the location and visibility of the variable. It describes the scope and lifetime of the variable. C supports 4 types of storage classes: auto, static, extern and register. Let's see one by one in detail. First is auto. The variable declared as auto is only visible to the function in which it is declared. It is also known as a local variable. Default storage class for any variable is auto. If you are not specifying any class to your variable, then it becomes a auto. For example, auto integer a. In static, the variable declared as a static is only visible to the function in which it is declared, but it retains its value even after the control transfer to the calling function. It is also known as a local variable. For example, static integer a. Next is extern. The variable is declared as extern is visible to all the functions in the file. It is also known as a global variable. For example, extern integer a. And fourth one is a register. The variable declared as a register is only visible to the function in which it is declared, but the value of the variable is stored in the register, so it can be accessed faster as compared to other variables. It is also known as a local variable, and for example, register integer a. So these are the different syntaxes how we can use this storage structure with the variable and its data type. Thank you.